Thank you so much for making time for this call.
Absolutely.
Yeah, now you don't have a lot of time on your lunch break. So definitely want to let you know that I do appreciate you. And I mostly wanted to talk to you because I appreciate your mind, the way you think, and ways that you just straight up inspired my world. So you might not know that I started We Finna Talk About It because I believe the way we grow the most is when we share ideas, when we listen to each other, and that's pretty much the only way we can learn from each other. So today's conversation is all about doing that. Are you down for that?
I sure am.
Okay, cool. So there's been a lot of talk online about the Rapture. When you first heard this, can you give me a 1 to 3 word description for how that made you feel?
I guess indifferent. No, I say indifferent because I high-key be out the loop. So I didn't really know what was going on. And I just figured it was just some more social media stuff. And then I was like, oh no, like, folks are serious about this. They're dead serious about thinking this rapture is coming up. And yeah, so I just been kind of like, it feels like every other day I'm learning more new information about it, or people have more crazy takes, and I'm like, oh, people are, I don't want to say crazy, but people are going through a lot right now.
Okay, and that being said, I am curious, how do you make sense of events like this for yourself? Like, what guides you when world events or social events happen like this?
I think, like, one of the perks, I guess, of being, like, a millennial and everything is that we grew up in a time to where we wasn't online 24/7. And I just feel like that's kind of, like, built into my nervous system. So part of me being out of the loop kind of keeps, I guess, these, like, mental guards up in a kind of way. But this also reminded me of, like, going through 2012. I was like, this is pretty much just the today version of it. And I was just like, it's always these kind of...
What happened in 2012 for you?
So in 2012, there was like the Mayan calendar reset or something, and that the world was going to end, right? And I remember the big, like, hoopla around that and everything, and I remember the energy around me. And I was like, I think I was like 15 or 16, and at the time, because of my upbringing, I wasn't like super like terrified, but I was nervous. You know what I mean? Because I was just like, oh no, maybe what if it's true, whatever. But growing like spiritually in this way, this time around, when things like this come around, I'm just so kind of like, oh, this is just another one of those kind of things that just kind of goes around every few years and everything. And then it doesn't help that social media is going to take something like this and put it all in your face because it's engagements and clicks. It's good for business. You know what I mean?
Why do you, so that, I was actually just about to ask, why do you think, these kind of conversations catch fire online, but do you think it's because of business?
I think it's definitely backed by business, as in, like, it might be orchestrated in some way, and if not orchestrated, it's definitely being fueled by it. But I also think these have, like, for real world implications. Like, this is coming from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So again, with the 2012 situation, the reason why this and that are so similar is because, like, right now, people are genuinely stressed, right? The political climate is crazy. The economic atmosphere is dismal, right? People are really feeling a lot of stress and everything. And then you have, I feel like, a good portion of the country right now, kind of half of them are really waking up to, like, the results of their past choices, as in who they elected, right? They're really witnessing that, like, yeah, these people that said they were for me are not for me. and they're feeling the effects of it. And so now it's very easy to kind of conjure up things like one day waking up and people disappeared. You know what I mean? To be, I don't want to say lifted out, but kind of just removed from the pressure, from the circumstances that you're around. And if your only kind of thing that was ever grounding you, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, was this kind of religious framework, you're kind of going to go to this. And kind of, I feel like what's happening is that a lot of people are just unconsciously, they want an escape.
Yes.
They want a way out.
Okay, but let's have a real conversation, because I think you're giving too much of the benefit of the doubt to say that people are unconscious about this. I think that people are so tired, so stressed, so fed up that this is actually creating a new mental illness, probably, which is going to be this large mass of people who just don't feel like doing shit no more. They tired. So I feel like for a lot of people, just to go back on something that you said about what people are clinging to in their faith, because I'm seeing so much of this rapture is happening, it's happening, it's happening. But if this is happening, why are you putting a disclaimer in your video about, if it doesn't happen, I'll come back and apologize? You don't stand or walk in your faith for real.
Right.
So it's right. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So
and also, just like, I feel like if y'all genuinely did believe this, I had so many questions. Like, before I even said what I was gonna say, they was like, the rapture is happening on Tuesday, and I'm like, that's so specific. Like what? And then I'm like, I'm asking, like, I'm just being funny, but I'm like, how is this gonna work? Like, if the rapture happening on Tuesday, we gonna, like, there should be certain countries that should just be offline by the time it get to us. We should wake up to news that people are gone and everything. And so I'm like, a lot of y'all, this is like like a spiritual psychosis, like a collective spiritual psychosis, and then people have access to the internet, and so they get to platform it all over the place. And right now, people are just like, anything that's gonna be hot, yeah, I'm gonna jump onto it too. Or if this is what my group is thinking, it must be true. It's a lot of that going on, and it feels like right now, the way I just feel about it, like emotionally, it feels like they don't let all the animals out the zoo. But I'm just like, I'm at like a distant spot, just looking at it all. Like, this is kind of nuts.
Yeah. So, how do discussions like this support, help shape, dismantle, whatever, to your worldview and your daily choices? Because I think that it's one thing to observe and keep your opinions to yourself, but kind of now that you've released some of this, like, what do you see in your life going forward? More social media, less social media, speaking out online against, like, how does this impact your world?
It definitely, like, I'm already pretty studious, but it just makes me kind of focus my attentions in very specific directions. There's just causes to everything, and when you really just look at this country, a lot of the issues, almost all the issues that have really plagued Americans have been by their own government's hands, especially now that the values of the people that are running this country are financial, right? And it's finance first, everything else second. And right now, it's just made me be more acutely aware that even things like this, raptures and everything, I'm like, somehow, some way, these businesses and everything are going to get a piece of this and try and profitize off of even people suffering in this way. You know what I mean? People are at their mental wit's end, and somehow, some way, big business is still going to find a way to profit off of this. And it's just now I feel like it is kind of like something that I should take more responsibility for in like sharing or helping point out what's actually happening, and that things do not happen in isolated instances. There are reasons for everything. And if people had more context for the things that were going on, they would really understand like the hands that are moving things. So that way we can focus all this. People are frustrated. So focusing all that frustration to the actual source of the issue instead of at one another. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I 100% agree. Yeah. We got a lot of work to do. Well, I do want to thank you for your insight and your thoughts. And for everyone listening, thank you for tuning in. Keep sharing your truth, asking the questions that spark curiosity. Before we go, would you like to tell the people where they can find you?
Yeah, I'm at Jam Tarantino on everything. So I'm on Threads, all the socials. I'm the same thing everywhere.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on We Finna Talk About It.
Yeah, I appreciate you.